Okay, so we're ready. Fantastic. So what I wanted to talk about, only briefly today, is I get asked all the time, what do I say when somebody has some health issue and they ask me whether soul is going to will help or whatever? What am I going to say? Now, it's very important that whatever you say, they're asking you for advice, and if you don't sound credible, you're going to lose them right off the bat. So how do you sound credible, and what do you say? So I want to run through the gist of what I would say, and it's fairly simple, and much of it I do in my Monday night webinar, but I want to break it down. And if you've got a pen and paper, you might want to make some notes, because I'm going to cover some basic stuff, that points, if you like, that you need to know in order to do this effectively. So here's how I do it. So point number one, I tell the person that they need to deal with the cause. Whatever the disease is, they need to deal with the cause. And I explain to them how the pharmaceutical industry is great for fighting symptoms, but that's not very helpful if you want to get rid of the thing. It's okay if you want to be for life on some medications or something, dealing with symptoms for the rest of your life. But if you want the symptoms to be gone permanently, you have to deal with the cause. And when I explain that to people, usually there's that little light bulb goes on and they think that makes sense. So you've got them on side straight away. So then, if you're going to tell them that they need to deal with cause, you have to explain what the cause is. I'm going to keep this simple. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I will have questions and answers at the end. So the cause, as we know from my Monday night webinar, the cause is two things. It's deficiency and toxicity. So we're being poisoned by all the chemicals and electrical stuff going on around us, and we're also deficient. Okay, and we're deficient because the plants are deficient. Even if we're eating a good diet, we're deficient. So we have toxicity and deficiency. These are the causes. Okay, so I'll explain a little bit about that, and I go into, as I say, more detail on a Monday night on those two things. And again, once they understand that's making sense, then I explain the solution. So first of all, you tell them that they need to deal with the cause. Then you tell them the cause, deficiency and toxicity. So now you give them an answer. So what's the answer to toxicity and deficiency? And I give a 3-step answer. Step number 1, you have to reduce the amount of toxins coming into your body. Okay, and again, that makes perfect sense to anyone that's got half a clue to what's going on. So you reduce the amount of toxins coming into your body. And that means making choices to, as far as is practically possible, avoid the most toxic stuff around us and switch for non-toxic versions. So toxic food for organic, healthy food. Toxic soaps, shampoos, makeup, cleaning products for non-chemical versions. Often you can make them yourself, etc. So protect yourself from EMFs, which is the electrical stuff that's going on damaging us. So protect yourself and reduce the number of toxins from coming into your body, step 1. Step 2, after we decrease the number of toxins coming in, we're going to increase the number of toxins leaving our body. How do we increase the number of toxins leaving our body? By simply giving our body the tools to get rid of those toxins. The first and most important tool is plenty of good quality water. I recommend distilled. Okay, so if they start arguing about distilled water flushing out the minerals, then simply say you can add the minerals back in immediately after it's distilled. I personally don't, and I would get into a whole discussion on that, but to keep it simple, distilled water, and if they feel they have to have minerals in it, great, put the minerals back into that now clean water. So plenty of good water, and then you need the right foods that have the ability to help remove toxins. So that would be things like the greens. So core basically is the supplement food version that does that. So it contains things like chlorophyll and chlorophyllin and spirulina and wheatgrass and all these things, milk thistle, etc., all help to remove toxins. So here's what you're doing now. You're addressing cause by reducing the number of toxins coming into your body, and then you're giving your body the right tools to remove toxins from your body. So that is what you need to do to deal with toxins. Now, the next thing that you need to do is fight the damage already done by toxins. And again, that requires the right foods. And we can talk about Soul and how that is the foods, some of the best foods ever found for fighting damage done by toxins. And what is that damage? Well, it's inflammation, it's oxidation, it's suppressed immune, it's low cellular oxygen, etc. Okay, so Soul is going to fight that damage. And then finally, the last step is to give the body the nutrients it needs. Okay, because your body needs nutrients to function properly. And as we know, we're all deficient. And so that's where eating healthily comes in. And of course, using seed nutrition, which is super concentrated food, to massively boost your nutrition. And that would be where Soul and Core come in very, very strongly, providing a huge range of nutrition, including essential fatty acids, a huge number of minerals and vitamins and so on. Okay, so that's basically it. If you can get that down, then you've got a competent, credible response to anyone that says, how is seed nutrition going to help me? So to recap, and then I'm going to open it up to questions. This is going to be short because it's not complicated. So recap, step number 1, okay, is that you have to deal with cause. Cause is deficiency, toxicity. So you have to address the deficiencies and address the toxicity issues. How do we do that? 1, we decrease the number of toxins coming in. We increase the toxins going out. We fight the damage done by the toxins, and we address the deficiencies with super concentrated food, not rocks, metals, and synthetic vitamins. Okay, so that's it. That's how I respond. Okay, so what I want to do now is open it up to any questions on that, but it's really as easy as that. I think I've unmuted everybody. Maybe I haven't, I don't know. Anyway, if you're not unmuted, you can unmute yourself. Dee's the only one not unmuted. Okay, so that's probably because Brian's on at the same place. So that's, I don't want to oversimplify it, but that really is as easy as it is. It's just that simple. So anyone got any questions on that?
That was brilliant, Ethan. I'm actually relieved at your structure of how you relate that, because that's typically along the lines of how we were doing it, because we figured out that when somebody asks about, or what about this, and they name a particular situation that's bugging them, 9 out of 10 times, it's not the only thing that's bothering them. It's probably the most annoying out of a handful of others that come with it. But this one thing is bugging them the most. So what we tend to do is we just say, yeah, well, you see, what you just highlighted there as symptoms, and everything you've been doing so far, 9 out of 10 chances are you've been fighting symptoms, hence you're not seeing results. What we have doesn't cure anything. In fact, it does a better job. It equips your body to fight off the very causes of that, what you just described. Now, if you want to hear how we do that and what's involved and what the causes are, we have a specific meeting on Monday where we get into details of that, and you get to ask questions that are specific to you and get live answers from some of our specialists and practitioners that we have on board who are using these products themselves very successfully with others. And straight away, what they tend to say then is, what time is it at? So that's just another way that but I like the way you've broken it down, because it gets into a really nice conversation and you're highlighting the issues for them to evaluate.
Okay, so was there a question there, Brian? I'm not sure. Maybe I missed it.
No, it's not a question. I was just echoing what you were saying. Okay. I was just saying I'm relieved to see your structure, because it's very, very similar to ours.
Okay, cool. So anyone else with a question? You got a question about anything that I just said? Because it really is very, very simple. And if you just get this down, then you're going to come across as very credible. But because this stuff, although it's simple, most people just don't know it. But when you say it, it makes sense to them. So it's a very, very good way of answering in broad general terms, sounding, you know, very credible and like you know what you're talking about. And as Brian just said, then you can then pull them onto a Monday night meeting or something for more detail. But this gives you a starting point so that you know what you're talking about. So, anyone got any questions, or is it so simple? You've all got that down totally. You know what you're doing, and that's that. In which case, no worries. We can end the call, and hopefully we can get this recording up, and others that aren't on live can get a chance to hear it. So,
here's a quick question. Here's a quick question, Ethan. When you are explaining the benefits of what you have, do you skip the mentioning the product Soul and Core and just break down and focus on their benefits? Because again, I'm just thinking, by mentioning Soul and Core, would that let the cat out of the bag, so to speak? In other words, they'll go and research it then, and God knows what else happens, you know?
It depends on where the conversation is. If the conversation is on a page, I would say what I just said without mentioning the product name. If I'd gone into a private conversation and I was now on a one-to-one, then yeah, I would mention the products, because now I'm in a private, that's fine. I'm actually, you know, in conversation with them, so they're going to come to me. They're unlikely at this point to jump off to Google it and all the rest of it, because they're talking directly with me and I'm giving them information directly. So in a private, I would mention it. In a public, I would not.
Perfect. Good to clarify that. Thank you, Ethan.
Okay, well, it sounds like there's no more questions. So I did say it was going to be short and sweet. I think that hopefully that's clarified for a few people, and as people that weren't available to do the live catch up with it, there may be more questions that they can type into the thread. But thanks for your time, and hopefully that's been of some help.